It's nice to finally meet you in the flesh. I mean, although it's virtual, but it's exciting because I've been preparing this for quite a while. So can we just get to it, or do you want some time to wind down for a bit? Okay, cool. All right, so probably let's start by taking you back to that final in 1997 where Dortmund came out on top 3-1. I still remember waking up for that match. I think I was in secondary school. I was a kid back then, but it was exciting to see you play with the likes of Del Piero, Zidane, and you played a huge role in making sure that you quelled Zidane's sort of performance of the night and assisting for Riedler's first goal as well. So could you just share with us what was the aftermath of that performance for you personally as a player for the club?
I think the aftermath is an incredible feeling, and I remember when we won when Lars Ricken scores the last goal, I had the feeling the game's finished, because you could feel it in the Juventus. You could see in their faces. I think they thought the game was over. And the team that I played with in the era that I played with was an incredible team, really strong, really good guys, top international players. And I just felt Juventus had to be really, really good that night to beat us. And I thought we deserved to win the game. Juventus were strong favourites, but we had some fantastic players: Kohler, Riedler, Sharpe, Mola, Sosa, Heinrich, Reuter, Sama. They were incredible players. Martin Krieg, really strong team. And the aftermath, it never really hurt me until I went back to Dortmund when I saw the atmosphere. And the city of Dortmund when we won the Champions League I've never seen anything like that with the fans. That was an incredible moment. Really good.
Right. You were also the first British person at the time to win the tournament since the reformation of the Champions League. I think that was in 1992. So what was the response like back in the UK?
Do you know, I never really paid much attention to what the response was back in the UK, because I was living in Dortmund and I loved the life there. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the club. I loved the relationship I had with the fans was incredible. And so whatever people said back home wasn't a great concern of mine. My main concern was trying to play as well as I could for Dortmund. That was my main concern, and I never really thought about being the first British player to win the Champions League. It never really passed my mind. The main thing was the team winning and to be part of a special team.
Right. It wasn't just the final performance that was really impressive, because I followed it personally. It's still so fresh in my mind when Lars Ricken came off the bench and scored that amazing goal, the third goal to seal the victory. But you were also mentioned in Roy Keane's autobiography later on for that impressive display that you had in the semi-finals against Man United. So my question is, how were you able to sort of string those performances together week in, week out, semi-finals, finals?
You know, it was pretty easy. And the reason I say it was easy was because when I first went into Dortmund, the players made it easy for me as well. They were really, really kind to me when I went into the club at first. And it was really easy to play with great players. They made my game really easy. And then once I became more comfortable with everybody and more integrated with the club, everything became really, really comfortable. And I just found that was my job. My job was a certain part of the team. And I found it easy to play with them. It was a great time.
Amazing stuff, just listening to you talk. But let's move on to your days as a club manager. Of course, being inducted into Norwich City's Hall of Fame must have been huge for the fans, for yourself. And you could see, the city of Norwich, the fans actually reciprocated those feelings towards you. But the question is, how tough was it for you when you actually had to leave the club? How was it like for you?
I think when you leave any club, it's tough. I think when you have good moments, but I went so hard and so fast that you become tired. You become tired, and everything, the stress, the emotion, and it's you move on and you try your best for every club you're at, and I had a great time, a really great time. But I've had great times at all the clubs I've been at. So I've been a manager now for since 2005,
right?
Which is a long time. And, so I have some nice memories.
Right. As still staying on the topic of being a manager and your views as a manager, when you look at the Dortmund lineup now with the likes of, Haaland, Sancho, Hummels, Hazard, Meunier, Marco Reus, it's such a good balance when you see, the combination of the young players and the slightly older ones, but the more experienced ones as well. But how do you compare them? If you had to compare the Dortmund team of today compared to the Dortmund team that you played for?
Oh, that's really tough. I don't think you can ever compare eras, and because I think it's unfair in both eras. There's the era I played with and the team that I played with. Well, I think if you ask any Dortmund fan, there's a special team and a special era at that time. The current team in this moment, I think, are doing great. I think they've been so close to winning titles. Bayern has been really strong. Dortmund have been really close. Hopefully this is a year where they can get the title, which is important. I think they probably need to win a trophy, whether it's the German Cup or the Champions League or the Bundesliga. I think the team is really strong. It's got really strong players in this moment. The young guys are really dynamic. The experienced guys you've mentioned there, Marco Reus and Hummels and Meunier, all great players, and the younger ones will need them as well. But the big thing for me is the fans. The fans make the club, and if you play in front of the fans there, then I believe anything's possible when you play there. So hopefully this year, fingers crossed, this year the team becomes the German champions.
Right, and it's interesting that you mentioned the fans and how it could be a different ball game if you had the fans in the stadiums or the matches, especially the Der Klassiker matches as well. But when you look at Bayern and their dominance for the last 8 years, only Borussia Dortmund, I would say, apart from Leipzig or perhaps Leverkusen, have given them a run for their money. But with the significant youth investment in Dortmund, do you think that's about to change? The fact that, the dominance that Bayern has shown, winning 8 seasons in a row, the Bundesliga, do you see that changing, say, perhaps this season or the next season with the significant investment of youth and experience and a great balance that Dortmund has right now?
I hope so. I certainly hope so. That 8-year cycle has got to be broken somewhere. It's got to stop. And I think Dortmund is a club obviously need the title as well. They need the title. They need to be winners. And it's okay maybe saying develop players, but you have to win. I think the club needs to win a trophy, because if you win a trophy there's no better atmosphere and when you win something there, just because of the special place it is. And if you can do that this year, which I believe Dortmund have got a really good chance this year. They've got a really good chance to do it, and hopefully, as I said, fingers crossed that they can win.
I'm a big fan of Dortmund's gameplay as well, and what the club has done over the years, and with the significant investment of youth, the likes of Gio Reyna, Jude Bellingham, even Youssoufa Moukoko, that we've seen recently break the record as one of the youngest players to ever be introduced in a competitive game. But when you talk about the likes of Gio Reyna, who sort of cemented his position that he can play on the left, he can play on the right. In your opinion, how do you though find the right balance? Because you could find, like, say, 6-7 young players who could just break themselves into the first team. But at the same time, as a manager, you got to think of the fact that you got to have the right balance of youth and experience to make sure that they get over the line over the space of a league or probably 34 games. So, as a manager, how do you view that as something that is an advantage, but yet you got to balance it right?
You have to, but I think they've got a good balance now. I think Hummel's coming in, Marco Royce has been there, Vixel's been there, been around it. Mooney at PSG has been a really good signing. So there's a lot of good experience there. Allied to the young players, it's when I always think when you get to February, March time, and if you're in the top two and you're close, then I think that's the time when you have to really push. And they've a great experience within the club. Mikel Zorc as the sport director, Sebastian Kehl's there, Lars Ricken's there, iconic players for the club. I think it's important. So I just think this year could be the year, but you're right what you're saying, the balance has to be right. But I believe they've got really good balance there. And if the fans do come back, which hopefully will happen, then it's that makes a stronger team.
Right, and it's interesting that you mentioned they already have the good balance right now. Lucien Favre doing an excellent job with the team, and I think it's his admission itself that he did mention that it's been a little bit disturbing on and off the pitch for the likes of Jadon Sancho with the whole transfer saga, the fact that he was either going to Man United or he's not, or he's staying. The spotlight has been under him for a very, very long time. How do you think as a player yourself and as a manager that takes away from his game on the pitch?
Well, when I played, we didn't have the social network or the social media that people tune into every day, and he's only a young player as well. So the distraction of him coming back to the UK would have been big. Manchester United, and although that can weigh on his shoulders really heavily, but hopefully everything's settled down. I still believe he's at an incredible club in Borussia Dortmund. It's not when you leave Borussia Dortmund you realise how good it is, and hopefully the feet are on the ground and everything's clear. But I can understand it because of the price and the money that was getting spoke about. So, but hopefully now it's calm.
Right. I mean, I can't talk to you without mentioning the likes of Erling Haaland. He's just the talk of world football right now, and everyone's talking about him. He just won the Golden Boy Award as well. Looking at him and what he brings to the team, he's already cemented his position in the world of football as one of the best strikers in the world, with not just the goals ratio, but what he does off the ball as well. I mean, when you look at a team like Bayern Munich, they do invest significantly in talents like Erling Haaland. So do you foresee him staying at Borussia Dortmund, or is there like a possibility that he may actually leave for a different team in the near future?
Well, I hope he stays, because he's found a great team and a great club there, and he's performing incredibly well. And you're right, he's probably one of the most talked about strikers in the world in this moment. I mean, his goals against Hertha, the goal he scored against Bayern was world class. The speed he has, a young guy who's got so much ahead of him. Hopefully he doesn't get injured and all those things happen. But I'd like to see him hopefully stay for a few years, and hopefully he'll realise what special club he's at. He could move to a new team and not be the same player he is now. You need the right players, the right moment, the right time. In this moment, he's found the right club and the right time.
That's true. And as a manager, maybe I could just add this one. How hard is it, because you do manage players as well. It's not just what happens on the field that when it comes to tactics, formation, things like that. That's what people, the general perception is they think that what happens on the pitch defines a manager. But I believe it's also man management as well. How do you think Lucien Favre has a job in his hands when it comes to making sure that these kids stay hungry, but at the same time also stay humble and also try to protect them from what's coming from the outside?
Well, I think the manager does that to the best he can. But I think that's where they need the experienced players as well, especially in the training ground, where they come to work and they don't rest on their success. I think that's important, that the older experienced guys keep on top of them and don't let the standards drop with it. With respect for the training ground, respect for your teammates, you have to keep them grounded, and I think that's important, and that's you're right, that's one of the most difficult things. You have to keep your players, especially young ones, their feet in the ground.
Okay, I think I can't let you go without asking you what your predictions are going to be for the season. So very quickly, looking at the standings at the moment in Bundesliga, you can see Bayern, Dortmund, Leipzig, Leverkusen, once again, the usual suspects, lining up nicely in the top 4 positions. But, you know, looking at what's happened this season with a tighter schedule, not much of a preseason, games coming in really thick and fast. What do you expect to see from the season itself once it's all said and done?
Do you know what? You're right what you're saying about the pandemic and what's happened. Pre-season's been really short and difficult. The games are coming thick and fast. Just every year I look at it and think maybe this is a year that they can do it. And I'm going to go Dortmund, Bayern, Leipzig and Leverkusen. That's my prediction.
Dortmund, Bayern, Leipzig and Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul Lambert. I appreciate your time. This has been a surreal experience for me, and I really want to thank you and wish you all the best in your future as well.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Permainan pengurus bola sepak terhangat sudah tiba. Rekrut bintang-bintang pemain bola terhebat bagi pasukan anda. Uji formasi dan taktik anda untuk mengalahkan pengurus lain. Bina pasukan impian anda hari ini.